Okay. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Jaki Sabourin, your host, and this is the Engaged at Any Age Summit. And today, our expert, I'm really excited to introduce her to you because I respect her work so much, and she's going to share so much wisdom with you. And so I'm excited to hear what Lisa Copeland has to say and welcome her to the summit. Lisa, thanks so much for being here.
Hi, Jackie. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for asking me.
I just love your work. I love your book. I know we're going to introduce everyone to it in when I read your bio, but Lisa has written a fabulous book, The Winning Dating Formula for Women Over 50. You can get it on Amazon. This book is just chock filled with so many great tidbits, little bits of wisdom. I mean, you can just open it up and find something right away that to give you some really sage advice. So, Lisa, thanks again for being here. I know we're going to talk about 3 critical mistakes successful women make that keep them from finding love. We really need to know what this is. But before we get going, I want to tell the audience a little bit about you, if they don't know you already. You're known as an expert all over the world as coaching women over 50. And you're an Amazon bestseller, as I already mentioned, and of The Winning Dating Formula for Women Over 50, and you're a regular Huffington Post contributor. And your passion is showing women around the world how to find love again with a good man after 50. Woohoo! Welcome.
Thanks.
Before we get into what the single biggest mistake successful women make, what was your inspiration? Tell me about your story a little bit and how you came to do this amazing work.
Sure, I'd love to. Well, I feel like I have done, what makes me such a great dating coach is I have done it all. I have made the dumbest mistakes. I wrote horrible profiles. I traveled to places I should never have been traveling to meet men, and like across the world to Australia. It's in my book, but I had it as something that I wanted on my bucket list that year was to go to an exotic place. So I figured I'd throw a guy in there, and it was like crazy. But what really started it is I was married 24 years, and then I was married again for 2 years. And when I came out of that marriage, I'm thinking, I'm such a failure. You know, this is like just the worst. I failed, and another relationship down the tubes. And I went looking for coaches, and I couldn't find any. In fact, they were like my kids' age, like 20s and 30s. And I was in my early 50s, and I didn't want to tell a 30-year-old my issues about maybe taking my clothes off in front of a guy. They have no clue. They have perfect bodies. You know, it was, or how to meet a guy over 50. So there was no one really out there. And I would call my sister crying and saying, what should I do? And she said to me, you are so resourceful. Start researching it and then see what you find and go out and experiment with it. And that's what I did. And then, of course, from there, I ended up reading like every book I possibly could when I was dating. It totally changed my dating life. I figured out how to have fun dating after 50. And I'm in a great relationship now as a result of it. And I've helped clients do that too. Yeah. So, and that's my mission, is to help as many women have fun dating, because most people see it as a job.
Yeah, and so I hope that we're going to discuss that, because I love that you said to have fun dating, because a lot of women that I talk to are dreading it, and actually they don't need to dread it. In fact, the very emotion around dread is really setting them up for failure just to begin with. So you've got to have that good energy behind whatever your intention is. But let's talk about what you have come here to talk about, the top 3 critical mistakes that successful women make when they're trying to find love. So let's start there.
Sure. So I would say I'll name them, and then we can talk deeper about each one. Would that be a good idea to do it that way? Sure. The first one is not really understanding who men are and how to approach them from our most feminine side. So many of us weren't taught how to be feminine. We were taught, I can do it all, I don't need a man, and I'm better than a man. And in many ways, we really are in some ways. But what happens is men feel they're emasculated constantly. In fact, between my 2 marriages, I was in a relationship where the man, as I broke up with him, said, Lisa, you don't know how to let a man be a man. And I go, you're crazy. I'm friends with tons of men. Then it happened again when my second marriage ended. What were you going to say?
I'm like, oh, this is good. I sat up and paid attention because this is what women need to hear.
Yeah. And then my second marriage, he said the same thing. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? You are nutso. But they weren't nutso. Because I became so powerful in my first marriage, we had a definite division of labor that made me very powerful at home, and my first husband very powerful. It was a traditional marriage. He brought home the bacon and I did everything at home. And so as a result of that, I became very, very strong, very, very powerful, and I'm smart. I'm intelligent, which a lot of women are. So he just let me do my own thing. But the other two guys just felt like my power was so strong, I did not need them. And that's a lot about what that was about, that they just felt they weren't needed. So we can come back and talk more about this too, but we'll talk about the second thing as well. The second thing is not having a good profile and picture online. Recently, my boyfriend, he will check out Plenty of Fish for me just to go on and see women's profiles and bring them back to me. He shows me a picture of a woman who took a selfie. What?
What a doll.
Yeah, he's so sweet. He helps me all the time.
My husband do that too.
Uh-huh. So he showed me a picture of a woman who had taken a selfie, and the selfie had 5 bathroom stalls behind her, which meant she had taken it in a public restroom. And it's like, who's going to want that? You want your picture to be super inviting, super wonderful. And we could talk more about all these things. I just want to get the 3 out. The other thing is the right profile, which needs to be short and sweet and to just engage enough to engage a man to want to write you. And the third biggest issue that women have is they don't have a true, clear vision of who they want. They place a lot of value on attributes like looks, a guy or money. And a guy can have great looks and a lot of money, and he cannot treat you well too. So there's a formula of how I do that too. So Jackie, where would you like to start?
Well, I love how you started off by talking about we need to look at online dating as fun. And so how can we turn that around? Because it needs to be fun. And like I was saying earlier, our energy we're bringing to it with dread, we're going to be attracting men that are just going to confirm how terrible it can be. So how do we make it fun?
So I think the first thing is I have found that most women really don't understand how to navigate online dating. And that's number one. And that's what people like you and I help them do with part of the skills that we teach them. And a lot of times if they go on 5 dates and if it's not the one, they get very, very frustrated and they quit. So when you quit after 5 dates, it's you're throwing in the towel and you're not giving enough people a chance. When I met the guy I'm with, I met him online too. I actually met my second husband online as well. But the man I'm with now.
I actually got my second husband online too.
Yeah, it's like I even picked him up at the store, And, but I did, and we just weren't well suited.
That's how I met my husband.
Yeah, meeting online is the best place because we can meet people you would never normally have a way to meet. And that's the biggest thing. So I made a commitment to myself about a year before I met my boyfriend. And I said, I'm going to do all it takes to go to meet someone to be in a committed relationship with. And what ended up happening is I used every tool and skill that I know. And even I had to go back and read my own stuff because it's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to want to quit. And so one of the things about online dating is if it gets overwhelming for you, take a break. Hide your profile for a little bit.
So is that like a week? Just step back for a week. I mean, you don't want to take too much of a break.
You can take... I'd say until you feel comfortable with yourself again. I think it's important sometimes to take a break and come back to you because when we're dating online, it's hard because we put our ego and our heart out there.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get it broken and to get frustrated.
Yeah.
So I would say the biggest thing is women need the right profile, the right pictures, and the right site for them. So mainstream sites are great. They really are. And I am a big believer in the free sites too, because everybody can write everybody. Whereas you get frustrated on the mainstream paid sites because even though there's a lot of people on there, they can't write you unless they're a paid member. And have your clients seen that?
Yeah, and so what's your belief around if they're the belief if you're a paying member, then you're opening your wallet and you're contributing to putting more effort. That's kind of more of a commitment when you add that monetary value. So what is your thoughts with that? If I'm pulling out my wallet and the man's pulling out his wallet, we're both really more serious about it, or is that just a belief that that I just made up?
I think it's a belief that a lot of people have, and they think, okay, if I have skin in the game and they have skin in the game, it's better. The problem is because of the free sites, you'll find people on Match.com and you'll find them on Plenty of Fish or OkCupid. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're more committed. Maybe it doesn't mean they're more quality either. Just because they put money on the table doesn't mean they're a good guy. It just means they were willing to put money on the table. And they do want to find a relationship. But you have a lot of people on Plenty of Fish and OkCupid that want to find a relationship. But there's niche dating sites you can check out. There's spiritual sites. There's millionaire sites. There's women who are heavier, men that are heavier, people that love wine. It doesn't just have to be Match.com, Christian Mingle, JDate, eHarmony. It doesn't have to necessarily just be those.
So do you recommend more, how many sites should you be on? You were saying that you want to make sure you're on the right site. So do you recommend like one paid and one free, or two free, or how many, and then how many is too many?
Well, I recommend 2 sites at a time. I also recommend that you check out the paid dating site for a month, even though you will get a better deal if you sign up for 6 months. I've had clients who have done fantastic on Our Time and terrible on Match, and vice versa. So at least when you only do it once, you're maybe putting out $30 to $40. You're not putting out $90 or $100 to find out there's no one on there for you. And it's very regional or very city-based. It just depends on the city. So I would say 2. If you're on 3, I would say rotate and have one hidden. Because I think it starts looking a little desperate. We all say, I saw him on 5 sites. And we think, something's wrong, even though all he wants is a relationship.
Right. So rotate. So to have one visible and one invisible. And then
No, I would have 2 visible.
2 visible. And
okay. If you're on 3 sites, 2 visible, 1 hidden.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
And so how long do you recommend staying on the sites? As long as it takes?
Yeah, I think as long as it takes. So it took me a year to do this when I went to find my boyfriend. It took about 30 to 40 dates. I made a lot of guy friends. One of the things is, especially over 50, is make friends with males, as a woman, because being around male energy is great. You can practice all your skills about being feminine. They will also help you. They'll be there for you when a date goes bad, and they'll say, this is what you should probably have done. Or they can look at your profile. Or it's just nice to be around male energy. But truthfully, the best place to look at a profile is when you work with someone, because I have a lot of women come to me with profiles that are getting them nowhere. And their friends have said, this is great. Or their brother said, this is great. It's not great. It's not attracting men because it's a book instead of about 3 short paragraphs.
And so great. So since you mentioned profiles, but I have two things, and let's start with the profiles. 2 paragraphs. How much? So I get the first paragraph. You want to keep it short and sweet, something about yourself, and a little more detailed. If you like food, what kind of food, and specifically if you make a dish, describe it perhaps. And love to cook dinner for you, something like that. But what about with the guy? What's the part that you say? Do you say, here's what I'm looking for in you, and you list out the qualities? I mean, what do we do about the part about what we're looking for?
Great question. So I think profiles should be playful. My clients, guys say to them, this is so nice. This is so different. It was really nice to read, and it made me want to write you. So what I always recommend people do is very short about yourself. Very, like two sentences. It can be a couple characteristics, but it should be short. A couple things that you want in a man. And then tell a story. When you talk about the food, tell a short story that men can visualize themselves in, and then invite them to write to you. This is no books, no saying anything that makes it look like you've been hurt or burned by a guy, because men have a radar for that, and they'll say, I'm not getting involved with her. She is just either a drama queen, or she is just still hurting from a previous relationship, and I'm not getting involved with that.
Yeah.
And, that's a big thing. And a really good thing to do with online dating is think of it as a virtual cocktail party. We would not stand there if we were holding a drink in our hand and we said, well, I like boating, chess, riding my bicycle, and going to the store shopping. Somebody would look at us and go, are you crazy? What are you doing? So fun. Your profile should be just enough for someone to get interest in you and write you. Leave all the details for for your date or for your phone calls.
Okay, I love that. I love it. Keep it fun and simple. And so no book, and I love it, the virtual cocktails, what you would actually say.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bunch of mumbo jumbo. So I love it. So let's talk about the 30 to 40 dates. So we're going online. We're at least going on for a year, as many dates as it takes. Mm-hmm. And when we feel overwhelmed or feeling frustrated, we pull back, make our profile invisible, and take a little break and fill our cup up until we're starting to feel like, okay, I'm ready to get back out there. Let's talk about the friends. I was curious about that. You said make friends with men. I don't know what you mean exactly. How do we do that? Just describe a scenario for me. Is that the men you date and they end up being buddy on your date? And how does that work? How do you make them friends?
Good question. All right. So you go on a date, and number one, I always suggest if a man is nice, give him a second chance, because sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, we put so much value on how someone looks or what's in their wallet. And in the long run, you want someone that's going to treat you well, who's going to adore you, who's going to cherish you, who's going to support you in the good times, through the good times and the not so good times. Now, some guys that have a lot of money, they will put money towards it. And other guys put themselves towards being emotionally there for you. It just depends upon what you're looking for. So when I would go on a date and I thought, this is a nice guy, but I really do know there's no romantic involvement here. And maybe I would go out 2 or 3 times, and then I would say, I think you are the greatest guy. I just feel like we're not a fit, but I would love to be friends with you. And some guys will say to you, I can't do that. I'm too attracted to you. And some guys will say, yeah, sure. And that's how you get a male friend. And you could do it on the first date. There were some times I did know on the first date. It wasn't just from sitting there clicking off a resume, which is something you don't want to do on a first date. On a first date, go in there and find out something new and interesting about someone. Number one, it makes you much more laid back. When you're sitting there clicking off the resume, people feel like they're in a job interview, and they're thinking, did I say the wrong thing? What are they looking for? Instead of just being relaxed and finding out something new and interesting.
Yeah, I love it. It does make you feel a little bombarded and perhaps even defensive if you're getting bombarded with questions. So put yourself in their position.
Right.
I couldn't agree with you more not to do that. So I guess I'm just not to drill into this friend, but wouldn't having this male friend, so when are you going to see him again? I mean, isn't your focus needs to be on finding the one? And if you have this men friend on the side, instead of going out on online dating, you might say, I'm just going to call up Roger, who will go to a movie with me because I'm tired of online dating. Is that what you're suggesting? And then you text him and say, hey, do you want to grab a movie, or do you want to go to this event with me? I need somebody to go.
There's lots of, now, one of the things is I'm an expert in dating for over 50s. So over 50s dating has a lot more choices. You're not looking necessarily for a husband to build a future with in terms of children, houses, and dogs. And over 50, many people stay friends after they break up. You know, they'll break up, they know they're not a match, and they stay friends. You know, I'll have lunch with some of my guy friends. I always tell my boyfriend, he has friends, female friends he's been with for a long time. You don't want it to distract you if a committed relationship is what you want. But a lot of times you don't have dates every weekend. Remember, there's 2 nights of the weekend, Friday and Saturday. And that's when that guy is great to be around. And when you're taking a break from dating, it's really good. It keeps you around male energy. It keeps your flirting skills up. And it just makes you feel, it makes you feel like a woman, which is a whole different feeling than when you go out to dinner with a woman than when you go out with a male friend.
Yeah, I really like that. I love it. Okay, so then I wanted to talk about when you're online dating. Let's see, I just lost my train of thought. There's so much great information here. And so you said something about being over 50. What are the other benefits? I mean, I like that we do relax more. We can maintain our friendships with men more. So what are some of the other benefits in terms of can we reach out to men? What's your strategy around getting men to notice us online? Do we have to just sit there and wait for them? Or is it different rules with the age?
I think I feel that men like to be the pursuer, but men need to feel safe to pursue you. And I have found that the best way to do that is to favor a man. It says to him, oh, she likes me, I can write to her. Now, that's a really good thing. They'll find you on their own, too. I am not a huge proponent of writing to men. I think you can. You want to be flirty. It would be, remember in your mind the visual of the cocktail party and pick something from his profile, short, sweet, and flirty. The thing is, men are very nice. They're very flattered. They'll write you back. Sometimes they will go out with you. But just like we reject so many men will reject you too. And so you have to be prepared for that. And I do want to say something here about that. When a guy doesn't ask you out again for a second date, or he doesn't write you back, it doesn't mean he does not like you personally. We all get in our heads a picture of who we think we want. And it just means you don't match the picture. Just like when men write to you and you think, no, this guy doesn't match what I want. Goodbye. So, that's what's usually happening there. But I find with writing men, most of the time it fizzles because they like to be the pickers. But they are flattered, and oftentimes they will write back, and sometimes they will go out. But I find that the best way to do it is to favor them.
Okay, good. So it comes to mind is women that they're just not getting any dates. They put their profile online. They have a good profile and they have a good picture, but they're not getting any response at all. What do you recommend to do? And I know you've worked with women like this that they just don't have whatever it is. They're missing something and it's just not connecting.
So, well, there's a couple things involved here. First of all, sometimes what seems like a good profile I have found is not a good profile. Secondly, pictures are not necessarily the pictures that women should have on there. Can we talk about pictures for 1 second? Because that's
circle back to that for sure.
Yeah, that's really important. You want to have a picture of just you in the picture, not your dog, your cat, your grandchild, your daughter, your son. You just want it to be of you. And especially when people put pictures of themselves in a group, one, a man starts comparing you, and two, they can't always pick you out. The
Yeah.
other thing is have current pictures. I've seen a lot of women over 50 put pictures of themselves at 20 and 30 and then like do this little montage all the way through. You don't need that. A man likes you right where you are. He doesn't know who you were in your 20s and 30s. Number three, you do kind of want to do a makeover when you're going out to online date. Go and buy some clothes that make you feel great. Go and have someone at a makeup counter show you makeup that looks good. Get a new haircut. Get highlights. Do something that makes you feel really good. And then get your pictures taken. And you don't want selfies ever. And you also don't want too much cleavage. Just a hint if you're going to show it, because you show more than that, you're asking for a guy for sex. That's how they view that.
Okay.
So, all right. So someone is not getting noticed. One, they could be on a paid site. Okay. Where there's not enough people that are paid to write to you. Like when you get winks and flirts, those are from guys that.
Okay, that's it. I got to make a little note here. So the paid sites, some of them, they may be on them, but then you have to pay more to get the messages.
Well, they might send you flirts and winks, but they're not paid members if they're sending you flirts and winks.
So then really, what's the point of even being on there?
And if a site isn't working out for you, change sites. Also, hide your profile. You are going to have times where there's a lull. I mean, you just are. And that's when it's so helpful to have male friends. It's so helpful to have a life outside of dating. And it's so helpful to just stop a little bit and regroup, because that's really hard. And I can remember having some plateaus. So you just hide your picture, and anytime you hide your profile, you come back on as new. So that's a good thing too, to always be hiding your profile for a couple hours even, so you come back up as new.
Oh, I like that. That's a great one. Yeah. Profile. And so when we're talking about women and their profiles, let's go back to that. I can't stress enough how much I agree with you about the photos. You have to put your best photo forward. Go get a makeover. You buy some new clothes, pick a beautiful color for yourself, and put your all into it. Because then people say, wonder why it's not connecting. It's because your photo or your profile. A lot of successful women want to list on their profile their degrees. I'm a PhD. I just finished my master's. And what do you recommend about that? I mean, is that putting men off, or can we list what we do? I mean, is that going to come up in conversation? How important is that?
So there's two things there. One, another thing you don't want to do as a successful woman is to not put your business profile, your business picture up for your profile picture. It's usually in a very masculine outfit. And as a result of that, men just say, oh, she's just going to be too tough. The second thing is you want to make men your hero. And that's a big thing you want to do in your profile. Now, what does that mean? Men love intelligent women. You know, don't discount your intelligence ever. You can write you're a PhD. You can write you have a master's. The key is in your profile to get a man to see that he could be your hero. So the way, and this goes back to the very first piece I said about understanding men. When we show up in our business suit, in our 55 degrees, and we just start listing them in our profile, I'm a lawyer who blah, 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 blah. And it's just listing them. A man says, she will not have space for me. She's not going to need me. She's not going to need a guy in her life. She can do it all. And that's what men are wired for, is to help you, is to be there for you, to mow the grass, to change a light bulb, this is their way of saying, I care about you. And they just want to know there's space for them, and that they're not competing with another man. And because things have changed for women so much, what's happened is we have taken on a masculine femininity, and that repels men, masculine alpha males. If you want a beta male who wants a woman with the alpha the strong alpha position, which let me tell you, I had it. I emasculated men like it's my job, like it was my job. And if I go under stress, it's very easy to go back to that. But this is the part where you really want to make a man your hero, because you have to trust a man and you have to allow him to be a man. And so someone might say, okay, is he allowing me to be a woman? Well, he does love your intelligence. He does love a woman who's fun to be with, a woman who's smart, but he really needs to feel needed, because that's just our DNA coding.
Wow. And so that's a big thing that women struggle with in this day and age. And so so in the profile, just to be really clear in terms of mentioning, so how do we make it known in the profile that we need them? Do we list something out, some cute little story in our storytelling? I love to garden, and I can see you, wield my shovel. I just made that up, but kind of cute. Would you actually put in there, I could use somebody to help me with the digging the holes? Or
yeah, so here's what I did when I was dating. I wrote a teeny little story, it was maybe 3 sentences, and I said, we're in the woods taking a hike, and we're talking, and I slip, and you grab me and keep me from falling off the side of the cliff. And I turn around and I look at you, and you can see in my eyes that you are my hero. Men go crazy. Women go, but men go crazy. I can't tell you the number of men that said to me, I felt like you were talking to me. So when you have men, so many women say, men don't want a woman my age. And that's in 40s also, and 50s, even 30s. They don't want a woman my age. It's not that they don't want a woman their own age, because a lot of them do. You have shared history together that they can't really relate to when they have a woman who's younger. But what they feel is that you can do everything, and a younger woman can't. And so he'll be appreciated. He'll feel masculine as a result of it. And this is why a lot of men go for younger women. But the thing is what I found, because this was very hard for me too, but I found that once I really got into this feminine side, and you do feel different. You feel like a girl. And for so long, I just felt like I had to be tough. And I used to say, I got to do it all myself, and I can do it all myself. And now having someone in my life that I let help me, it feels good. And he loves it. He loves it.
Yeah.
But it was hard. It's an adjustment.
Yeah, but it's wonderful. I couldn't agree more. I love having my husband do things for me. He does so much for me. And the more I allow, the more he does. And
that's right.
He makes my eggs in the morning, and I get up, and I could make them. Of course he can, but he wants to make the eggs. He does it every day. It's so cute. And some days I don't even want eggs, but guess what I do? I would love some, honey. Thank you so much.
So yeah.
He really wants to do that for me. And so, I let him. And I don't want to, like you said, emasculate him. And so I want him to know I need him,
And that's a big thing. And when we have a hard time because we're used to things a certain way. And when a guy wants to do it for us, it's not our way. And so we start criticizing. We jump in and we start saying, no, this isn't right. You could do it this way. You could do it that way. That's actually training a man to stop doing for you.
Exactly.
So like you said about the eggs, you kind of just suck it up, and sometimes it's hard, and you eat the eggs and say, thank you, I so appreciate it.
Exactly.
And yeah, but you reap so many benefits. It sounds, when I write for Huffington Post about this topic, men write to me personally on my website at findaqualityman.com. They write to me and they say, thank you. Thank you for understanding me. Thank you for telling women they don't get me. And women are like, oh my God, I can't believe you're writing this stuff. And men are like, yeah, this is really true. So you could fight it, or you could take it to your benefit.
And I think the way that you can start to do that is just to slow down when you're with a man and start to observe him. we get going, we get talking, and we get wound up. But if we just lean back and listen to him, you can start to become fascinated with the man and what he will do and how hard he is trying.
Oh, yeah.
They're really trying to please us. And so I know that we're running out of time here, but I know that you have something special for our audience. Tell us about your free gift, please. I'm excited.
I'd love to. I have a report called The 5 Little Known Secrets for Finding Quality Men. And whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever your age is, this will give you lots of ideas for places in your area to find someone besides online dating. Especially if you're very anti-online dating, this is a great place to start. I give you some flirting tips. So you can sign up for the free report, and then you'll get my blog every week, which gives you more great tips about dating.
Great. Thank you so much, Lisa. I love it. That's very generous of you. And I just can't thank you enough for being a part of the summit. I've loved our conversation. Great tips. So many things. I took notes the whole time. I just adore you. I think you're fabulous. And so I so appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of the summit again.
Thank you, Jackie. You're great too. And thanks for doing this.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.